Were you conscious of the moment in history that it was in the preparation?
Absolutely, yeah. No, we knew, and we knew that this was, righting not just the wrong of the last 10 years or so of history, which I think even John Howard in his last months in office recognised, but also it was speaking to this larger story of injustice. And of course, on the day itself, it had all of that sense of significance.
Just before we get to that, one thing I notice in it is the decision to be quite explicit about racism, not just to say sorry, but to be explicit about the policies. Were you involved in that decision to be so explicit and bold?
Yes. The speech was a product of Jenny Macklin, of a lot of good departmental advice. I mean, there were many hands in it, and I was also talking to lots of people, who'd worked in the area or been in the field. We needed to be direct. We needed to name it. I think Kevin really understood that this wasn't something that you sort of go around the edges. You've got to actually name the injustice and the evil that was behind the suffering of a whole generation. He's told the story of coming home from church and writing out the speech, and sometimes it's made out that it was a blank slate and he had nothing else to start with, just a blank sheet of paper. Of course that wasn't the case, but it was very much from him as well. And I think that one of the things that, if you listen to the speech, the lines, I say sorry, we apologise, that there is language there that is very much, it's the High Anglican Church liturgy that he's grown up with, that comes through, and that's uniquely something that Kevin Rudd would deliver that another person wouldn't have. And I think that the beauty of the way it came together was that it was both his voice, but it was also the nation's voice. If you know the prayer book piece, it's Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy, Lord have mercy. The rhythm of the language is actually the rhythm of the way in which the apology is delivered, and the way it brings out puts it at the front and puts it at the back. It's really quite extraordinary to listen to, and I've shown that speech to a lot of audiences overseas, and people well out with tears because there's something in it that just feels there's a right formality about it without it sort of sounding false. And I think in that sense, it really has a resonance that is almost spiritual. I think the most powerful part of the day to me, or two parts. One was Kevin really got the gesture right. He flung open the doors to the gates to the Prime Minister's courtyard. And these people whose life experience had been exclusion, and a country that wouldn't recognise how their childhood, their family had been robbed from them, were suddenly walking into the Prime Minister's office, being welcomed into the heart of the nation's parliament, and then walked into the chamber of the House of Representatives. And that was an amazingly powerful experience, because you could just see there how even their whole appearance changed as that happened. Once they were in the chamber and the Prime Minister was heading in, I actually walked out the door, went out onto the grass in front of the Parliament House where the thousands of people were watching the whole ceremony. And it was just great to be part of the country, and to see it with a friend's 7-year-old son, and to share the experience that every primary school kid in the nation was having. To see that for the first time, it was very powerful.